Hello everybody, welcome back. My name is Elisa and this is the Knitting Stories podcast episode, I think 6. And oh my god, if we are at episode 6, this is crazy. Like, I can't believe I've I don't know, registered like already 5 episodes of this podcast. But yes, so as I was telling you, welcome. I'm very happy to have you here with me today because today we have a jam-packed episode. I have so many finished objects and so many whips for what, I don't know. Usually I only have like one finished object and one whip, but today I have an episode full of new things. Yes, I think I was caught with Castonitis or something like that. I had this crazy Caston energy. Yeah, so I just went along with it and I just casted on so many things, guys. But yeah, so I think that for today we should start with like finished object as always. Then I'll go on telling you a little bit more about my works in progress, and for the end of this video I will have a little bit of like life update or something like that, but of course I will put timestamps so that if you're not interested to some of these topics, I don't know, maybe you would like to see only the whips and so on, you can just go to that and not listen to me talking about something you're not interested into. And of course at the same time, if you're not interested in the like kind of life update part, just skip it, and of course it doesn't matter. I just want you to listen to something that you're interested into. So yeah, I think we can start with works in progress. Oh no, sorry, I think we can start with finished objects. So the finished objects that I have, and I will not address this beautiful vest right now. I want to, I don't know, keep the suspense going. I'll start with some works in progress that I had in my previous podcast episode, and these are 2 tops that I have here. So the first top that I finished is this one. This is the Sailor Swift top by Kutova or Veronica Lindberg, and I've test knitted this beautiful top for her. I talked a little bit better about the test knitting experience for Veronica Lindberg in my previous episode. As I was telling you, like, she has very she doesn't give a lot of time to her test knitters to finish, of course, the object, but of course when you sign up for the test knit, you already know what the deadline, you know. So I was completely aware of it. At the same time, it was just a top with a DK weight yarn, so it was perfect. I was perfectly capable of finishing this object, this top, in a very short time. Like, I think that I knit these in like 2 weeks. Yes, and I was not knitting monogamously on this top, so it is a very fast knit. It is perfect for summer, and yeah, I really enjoyed the process. As you may know, like, I love very staple pieces which are very easy to style and which go with everything you have in your wardrobe, and I think that this top is perfect. So the design is very nice. I also think that this design is very beginner friendly because there's nothing major, like there are no short rows. The pattern I don't think that the pattern really explains how to change color for the colors no, yes, it explains how to keep the yarn, prevent the yarn, you know, the stripes from jogging, I think it's called. I'm not sure. If I'm wrong, you will see some words appearing on the screen. So yeah, it was a pretty easy knit and absolutely beginner friendly. and also it is very fast because it's DK weight, so I think it's perfect for summer when you need like a top and you want it ready immediately. And moreover, I think that you could knit this one not just with stripes but also of one single color, and I think that maybe not this summer but next summer I will do it and have one top in like a very neutral color, just to have something which goes with everything, with I don't know, all of my skirts and all of my trousers. I really like the details. For example, the I-cord, I think it's very nice. I think it's a little bit thicker than which you probably are used to with other designs. And oh my god, I've just knitted I don't know how many I-cords I-cord hems in this season. I don't want to think about it. I'm just full of I-cords. And also I really love the detail of the ribbing of the body, because it's as you can see twisted rib, and I just love how it finishes the garments. Of course, well, of course it's not the easiest to knit, and I had some like pain in my hands, but I think it was worth it. And it was just, I think, 6 rows or something like that of twisted rib. Yes, exactly. So I'm just going a little bit quicker on these finished objects because of course I've already talked about it a lot in my previous podcast episodes, even if they were just whips, but at the same time I just love wearing them, and so I don't have that much to say about them. And the same thing goes for this other one. So this top is again another test knit, and now you've seen it blocked. And the beauty of these ribbed cables is just stunning, I think. So this is the Minute Top by Louisa of Knitting.dear. Louisa, I think she's a pretty new designer, but I just fell in love with this pattern, with these cables, when I first saw her Minute cardigan. And it was a little bit too long for me to knit and to test knit, but as soon as I saw the test knit for this top, I just decided to apply because I really liked it. And I think that, of course, for a top you don't need to knit the sleeves, and also you just knit it in the rounds as soon as you join in the rounds, join the front and the back. So of course it was a little bit easier and a little bit faster. At the same time, cables and half fisherman's rib make it not the easiest pattern to follow. Of course you'll have charts, but I think that it's doable, of course. I think that Louisa also has the pattern for the Minute scarf, and maybe that would be the perfect kind of garment to start with if you want to try this pattern. So these, oh, by the way, I forgot to say that this top, the Sailor Swift top, was knitted with 2 strands of Holst Garn Coast held together. The blue is the color navy blue, while the white is the color ivory. And I must say that if you knit with this navy blue, you should definitely pay attention to the blocking process, especially the washing process, because this color bled a lot. And I was really worried that the ivory would have been stained by, of course, the bleeding of the blue, but fortunately it was not like that. So it just needed a little bit of washing. So yes, I used a little bit, maybe too much water for these, but at least like I don't have to redo the process, redo the blocking, because there's no bleeding in the final and dried object. While going back to the Minute top, this is knit with the with the BC Garn Bio Balance in the color Lavender, if I'm not wrong. And I must say that this is a very nice yarn. So I think I have here, yes, this is the tag. So here's the tag, Bio Balance. And it's 55% wool and 45% cotton. And you get these into 50-gram skeins, and each skein is 225 meters. The recommended needle size is between 3 and 4 millimeter needles, and you should have a gauge which is around 25 stitches per 35 rows. So one thing that I should say is that the gauge for this one is in pattern, so you should have the design already bought, the pattern already bought, to be able to swatch. But I must say that, like, it's a very cheap knit. Like, I knitted it in size S, or well, the second size available, starting from the smaller one. And I only used like 2 skeins of the BC Garn Bio Balance, and yeah, probably mine is a little bit cropped, but this is the recommended length. So probably if you want to knit my same size and want to have it like a little bit longer, you should definitely buy 3 skeins of yarn. And but this should be fine. Like, I think that 1 skein of BC Garn Bio Balance is like €6.90. So for a top like this, you would need, I don't know, to pay maybe €14 if you just like it like mine, or yeah, not that much, like €20 for a top. For me, that's okay. I think that this is the price you would normally find a garment or a top at Zara or H&M or yeah, other like fast fashion brands. So for me, this is a win. What else can I say about this pattern? Well, I can say that I did not have that many occasions to wear it, because in the Netherlands last month, July, was incredibly like rainy and windy, and we didn't have much sun, unfortunately. So these top, yes, I've used them as like layering pieces underneath, I don't know, other garments, and underneath maybe sweaters or cardigans and so on. But yeah, definitely this is not the time for me to wear tops. And I think that this leads us immediately to my last finished object, which is something I've never shown on the channel before, because this was just an impulsive cast on, and like I just fell in love with the pattern, I just fell in love with the finished object, I fell in love with the process, and I just needed this piece in my wardrobe. So it was like a very fast knit. And I'm speaking of my, oh my god, every time I look at this I just fell in love. I'm talking about my Vilma top by Gregoria Fibers. I don't know how many times I've talked about how much I love this pattern in this channel. So I've talked about it in some of my previous videos, and in the last podcast episode I was talking about my acquisitions, and I was talking about the fact that my boyfriend gifted me some yarn for my birthday, and he gifted me like 5 balls of Filcolana Peruvian Highland wool, which I had never tried, but which is the recommended yarn to knit the Vilma top. So I was just, oh my god, so happy. So yeah, the yarn that I've used for this top is Filcolana Peruvian Highland wool in the color Marzipan, and I've used 5 skeins of this. But I have a lot to say about this top. First of all, of course, to me it's not a top because it's wool. For me, it's a beautiful vest that I just love. I love the details. I love, like, you know, these. Maybe I should like take it off and show it to you. So first of all, what I love the ribbing detail here. I love these little flowers here. I love the details in the, as you can see here, in the twisted rib. And I just love the buttons that I've chosen because they're just, I think that they pair so well with this. And also, like, I think that the fabric is amazing. So at the beginning when I was knitting it, I was a little bit worried because my tension was not the best, and I had a little bit of rowing out. You say? Yes, I think you say rowing out. Well, my pearl, let's say it like that, my pearl rows and my knitted rows were not always that consistent in gauge. But then when I blocked it, like, now it's perfectly fine, I think. Like, you can't see any rowing out, and I just love the finished result. Now, the problem that I had with this pattern, let me just put it back on. The problem that I had with this pattern was mainly with the, gauge. Of course, I gauge swatched, and my gauge was perfectly on point. My gauge was really on point, and according to the sizes and according to the guidance that the pattern gave, actually I should have knit a size small. But when I started knitting this, I soon realized that I was having something too large and too big for what I was knitting. So I should have had like a circumference, well, in order to understand me, you should know how you construct these garments. So basically you start from the bottom and you go up, and at a certain point you divide for the back and the two fronts, and then you join again on the shoulders, of course. So I started at the bottom, and I soon realized that my the circumference that I had here at the bottom was just too big for me. It was just, I would have had something like enormous for me, even if I was on gauge. So I decided to like rip out what I had and start again knitting the smaller size, the size extra small. So if you want to knit this garment, I would recommend you to, of course, do your gauge swatch, check it very carefully and very attentively, and then start knitting. And then again, when you're knitting the bottom part, just measure what you're doing, because you may need to repeat back, to frog everything and start again. This is what I did, and I must say that I'm very happy that I did it, because I think that this size is just perfect for me. Actually, I think that on the pattern, the designer has written that a lot of test knitters had this issue, that after washing, the garment had increased of 4 centimeters more or less. So probably you should account for this, and this is something true, and I'm assuming that this might be also connected with the yarn, because of course I use the recommended yarn exactly as the test knitters, I imagine, and so yes, this could also be for the yarn. I don't really know. I just know that at the beginning this pattern was really hard, because I had to, first of all, I just realized I did something wrong with one of these lace details, so I had to rip back. Then at a certain point I realized that it was too big, so I had to frog it completely from the beginning. And then again, you have to pay a lot of attention to this pattern, because of course it has a lot of lace, so everything needs to be perfect, otherwise everybody could notice like an eyelet in the wrong place or something like that. But in the end it went very well, and you should know that even if I frogged it twice, I finished this garment in like 3 weeks. Probably, okay, of course, you're going to tell me that the gauge is very big, that of course it's not that hard, but still, like 3 weeks. And when I frogged it like twice, I think that this did not require me so much time. But yeah, like, I'm sorry if I haven't showed you anything like in the middle, like if I haven't showed you this as a work in progress. Just I fell in love with the design. I found myself having a little bit more time because you know, I am in the process of writing my thesis, and I've just sent to my supervisor like 3 chapters, and so now I'm in the process of writing the 4th, but the deadline is far away from now. It's in October, so I'm like very relaxed, and I think I'm like allowing myself to give more time to allowing myself to spend more time knitting instead of writing and researching and these things. And so I just went with it, and I just knit this beautiful top. Of course, I know that I haven't shown you these very well, but I hope I will be able to insert some B-roll in the video, because I think that this pattern and this finished object is so beautiful, is so elegant, so like also a little bit cottagecore maybe, but still elegant. And I would love to wear it forever, like forever. As I was telling you about the yarn and about the sizing, one other thing that you should consider is that, like, both for sizes small and extra small, the designer suggests you to buy 5 balls of Peruvian Highland wool. And at the beginning I was knitting size small, and I was a little bit worried with the yarn consumption because you know, I immediately had the impression or the idea that 5 balls would have been too few. And I think I was right, actually, because I've knitted size extra small, and this is what I've left of the last ball. And this is not that much, like, I don't know if you can see, but it's very little, like it's less than half a ball. So probably if you want to knit size small, just buy one more skein, just to be sure. You know, plain yarn chicken is not the best thing in the world. One other thing that I really like about this pattern is the fact that it includes some short rows here on the shoulder part, and I think that these I'm so happy that I decided to do these short rows, which are not optional in the pattern, but of course if you don't feel like doing short rows, you can just like not do short rows. But I decided to do them, and I'm very happy because this really is perfect on my shoulders. And another thing is that I did for the first time, again, let me show you. I did for the first time a modified 3 needles bind off, and oh my god, I'm in love with the result. Like, I think that this pattern really curates every detail of the finished garment, of the finished piece, and I just love when patterns do this. They just give importance to every single space, to every single element of the finished object. And what else can I say? I just love this. I would wear it. I would like to wear it every day now. So yeah, definitely recommended. Of course, I tried to write down everything about these and about my process on Ravelry. I'm not the best with Ravelry, just like taking notes of what I do, but I'll try to be better. In any case, if you're interested to these works, to these finished objects, you can find it in my projects on Ravelry, and you will have the link down below. So yeah, but this was all for my works in progress, for my finished objects. And if you know me, this is a lot because I usually finish like one whip in a month or something like that. But as I told you, I really had or maybe I allowed myself to have more time for knitting, so I just knit a lot in these weeks. I knit a lot and I'm so happy with it because every time I just try to be very conscious and aware of what I decided to knit. I just try to do something that I would really enjoy. And if you've seen my previous video about my knitting plans and inspiration for this summer 2023, you would have noticed that I wanted to knit something with different constructions, but at the same time something which was maybe stash busting, because I don't really have an enormous stash here with me in the Netherlands. So I really need something that can be very, how can you say, like, I don't want to buy too much yarn. Of course, I bought a little bit of yarn to make my new objects, but not that much, I think. And every time I bought something, or every time someone gifted me something, as this Peruvian Highland wool, I had something in mind to knit. I had a project in mind, let's say that. So let's say that this leads us to the works in progress, and my works in progress are still very intentional, still very connected to my summer 2023 knitting plans. So the first whip that I'm going to show you is a project that I've talked about in that video, and it is the yes, probably you've recognized this, but this is the June top by Petit Knit. I feel like I'm a little late on this because of course Petit Knit released this pattern last summer, so last year, but actually I think that this is a pretty interesting top because first of all, I decided to, in order to understand why I decided to knit, is you have to know the yarns that I've used. So as you may see, this has a little bit of a marred effect, and this is because I used, for this project, I used the other two skeins of BC Garn Bio Balance that I had left from my Minuto. Since the pattern suggested to buy, I think, 4 skeins of BC Garn Bio Balance for this top, I bought 4. But as I told you, I only used 2 skeins. So I was just like, those other 2 skeins were just like haunting me in my dreams because it's very hard to use 2 skeins of yarn. You know, you don't want a top of in the exact same color of one that you have already. And at the same time, BC Garn Bio Balance is like cotton and wool, and I don't want like an accessory like a hat or something in cotton and wool. I would prefer something I would prefer an accessory to be just wool and nothing else. But then I had like a revelation or something, because I remembered that when I knit my naked tee by Naked Knits like 2 months ago, I had left some yarn. If you remember, I have this yarn which is super thin. Oh wait, like it's really thin, and I didn't have much left, and now I have even less, but I didn't know what to use that for. But then I had a revelation, like, why don't you put together the BC Garn Bio Balance in lavender with that yarn? Because of course that yarn is just sufficient to make the BC Garn Bio Balance a bit more like a decay weight, and at the same time it will turn and give a twist, let's say, to the lavender color, so that you will be able to knit a top without having another top in that same lavender color. And then the problem was still that I did have only like 2 skeins of yarn, and I was worried that wouldn't I'm still worried that that will not be enough. Actually, I don't think so. I think that this will be enough, but you never know, and I don't like playing yarn chicken. And so I decided to go for this June top, because as I told you in my knitting inspo video, the beautiful thing about this June top is that the pattern also gives you some information and some directions on how to knit this pattern with a provisional cast on, so that you cast on on the body with a provisional cast on, and then you start go up. I knitted a little piece of the front and the back, like in the round, and then when I had enough length to feel comfortable to split for sleeves and also for the front and the back, I did that. So I just split for the front and the back, and then I split for the for one side, for the right and the left side. And when I was finished with that, I just went to my provisional cast on, and I just went down, and I'm still going down, but as you can see, this is what I have to finish this yarn. I think that this will be enough. And I've also, well, this is a mess, I've just so many threads here, but I've already done the I-cord edges, so I think that this will be fine. The pattern is like petit knit. I think there's nothing more reliable than a petit knit pattern. These top, like, I've just tried it on while I was knitting, of course using some barber cords, and like it fits me like a glove. It's perfect, even if the back, as you can see, it's a little bit lower. So this is the back. It's a little bit lower than the front. The back just fits me like a glove. Like I can wear a bra underneath, and like the edge, the I-cord edge will sit like maybe half a centimeter above my bra, and that is so satisfying. I just love the precision with which petit knit like always thinks about these details. And also for me this is very important because I don't like to wear sleeveless tops, or I don't like to go out without wearing a bra. I don't feel comfortable, and so yes, I think that this pattern is a win. I think I've casted this on, yeah, a long time ago. I think 3 weeks, and yeah, like at the same time I casted on this Vilma top. But this is taking me so long just because the weather outside, like there's no sun. I don't feel like working on a top, on a sleeveless top. Probably I'll just keep it for when I'm going back to Italy, and it will be so hot that I will be melting, and yeah, like Italian life. So yeah, this June top. But I can tell you that I really like it. Like, I think that the fabric looks amazing. I really love the color. I really love the fit. And I think that these will stay in my wardrobe for a long time. And I think that I will reach out to these many times. Yeah, like, you know me. I love staple pieces. Yeah. And then, as I told you, I have one other work in progress, and this cast on was made mainly because the weather outside is awful and I didn't feel like working on a top, and I had just finished this Vilma top, which was the only thing I had. So when I went away from Italy and when I moved to the Netherlands, I didn't bring with me a lot of yarn, but I just had 3 balls of Allstarn Coast in the color Kingfisher that were languishing in my stash because I didn't know what to do with them. I didn't bought them like I had ordered from Holstarn 3 balls of Holstarn in the color Kingfisher, Holstarn Coast in the color Kingfisher, but for some reason, of course, mistakes happen, and they sent me Holstarn Super Soft in the color Kingfisher. And so they were so nice, and they just sent me the right yarn back when I contacted them to you know, let them know about the error, about the mistake, because the colors are pretty different. Like Holstarn Coast Kingfisher is a very deep blue, and Holstarn Super Soft, like I can show it to you, it's a very deep green. Like this is green, and this is not blue, and I wanted the blue. But of course they were super nice, and they just made me like they just told me, okay, just keep the Super Soft Kingfisher, we'll send you the right yarn you asked for, and we'll just gift this yarn to you. So I had these 3 balls of Holstarn Super Soft in the color Kingfisher in my stash, and I just decided to bring these 3 balls with me to the Netherlands, to Amsterdam, because I thought, well, you know, when you will be there, you won't buy that much yarn, and you know that, of course. So maybe if you have just these 3 balls to work with, you'll finally decide to work on something with this. And well, this is what I actually did. So I wanted to cast on something which was a little bit more autumnal, a little bit more woolly, you know, and I didn't want to buy more yarn, and I just had these 3 balls. So I just started to think about all the patterns that I had in mind. I just started to browse on my Ravelry favorites and so on, and in the end I just thought about the, you know, the easiest thing, which was I just decided to knit again the first sweater I've ever knit, which was the Piece of Silver sweater, which I had knitted, like, I think I knitted this 1 year ago, 1 year and a half ago, or yeah, something like that. And I had knit that sweater with Mondim by Retroseria Rosa Pomar. That, if you know me, you'll know that that is my favorite yarn shop in the entire world. I really loved that sweater, but at the same time I really thought that I could have done something better. You know, it was my first sweater. I didn't know anything about short rows. I didn't know anything about, I don't know, how to make a garment fit on myself, because I have no idea about what I liked to make for myself. I don't know if that makes sense, but I had something like, probably one day I will just frog all that sweater and reknit it. But the fact is that I think that, well, the Piece of Silver sweater is a very simple raglan sweater with a it's a very simple raglan sweater which has short rows. It has a very high neck. I think it's like 25 centimeters high, and you fold it twice or once, I don't know, it depends. It really depends on how you like your neck, of course. So, and it required a little bit more than what I had. So I had 3 balls of Super Soft, and that makes more or less 900 meters. No, it doesn't, because one ball is 287 meters. So I had more or less 800 meters. Let's say like 850 meters, something like that. So I decided to play yarn chicken, but I decided to play yarn chicken in a very conscious way. So first of all, let me show you my sweater, and you will see that I've made a lot of progress on this, because I don't know, I had Castonitis and I just love knitting. So this is what I have, guys. Can't you? Oh my god, that's the sun. There's the sun in the Netherlands, but you can't see outside, but there's the sun, and there are just so many clouds. Well, my god, this country is just crazy. I'm not used to that. So, as I was telling you, piece of silver sweater. I just love these. I just love what I'm doing. I just love the color. I just love the fit. Like, as you can see here, the raglan details are very thick. I just love these big raglan lines, because I think that they really define like your shape. Usually what I find with raglan sweaters is that they are a little bit more standardized than other kind of I don't know, constructions. But I think that having these lines will make these pretty, like a little bit more detailed than other raglan constructions. At the same time, so I've knitted the size small. What I decided to do is just to, first of all, let me think about let me think. I have to explain this in a just like intelligent way. So, first of all, I've knitted a lot on this. I'm just really liking the pattern, and I already knew that. So this is what I have left. I've already worked with 2 balls, and I have just these left for the body, the ribbing of the body, and the sleeves. And I know this is not much, but this is what I thought. So in my thinking, I just realized that it was not necessary for me to have a real sweater, a sweater with long sleeves, and so I decided to just work on this, and if the yarn is not enough, I would just make it like a t-shirt. You know, in my previous video I talked about how I'm really enjoying the t-shirt trend. Like I've talked about the T#1 by My Favorite Things Knitwear, and I really like the fit of those sweaters, and so I just decided that if the yarn's not enough, I will just cut the sleeves, maybe very like larger without any decreases, and just at my elbow, let's say, just a little bit before my elbow. And another thing that I decided to do, exactly because I knew that this could turn into a t-shirt, is to have the hem, like the neck is just a rounded neck. It doesn't have that very high turtleneck that the designs calls for. At the same time, I can see that this neck is very wide, so I will probably put some elastic into it. And so yeah, this is the details. In terms of the pattern, I already knew the pattern, so it was very easy for me to make some modifications. So for example, the pattern does have short rows, and it calls for the wrap and turn technique, which I don't really like because I'm very lazy and I can't memorize the wrap and turn technique. So what happened is that I really enjoy, because it's very easy to do, the technique of the German short rows that I used also for the short rows on my Vilma top, and so I simply decided to apply that technique on this sweater. It made it very easier, and it made it also easier to memorize the steps that I had to do to make my short rows. So, and in the end, I think I'm very pleased with the result. So yeah, the only modifications that I made is the length of the neck and the technique for the short rows that I used. I think that actually it was very fun to knit this sweater after like 1.5 years, because I realized how much I didn't understand it and how much I didn't know at the beginning of my knitting journey, of my serious knitting journey, because I had knitted some other things, of course, before, but that was my first very serious sweater. And so it was very fun to notice that now that I'm, that I've learned a lot, I can, not only I can knit this sweater, understanding what I'm doing, but I can also modify the pattern and modify the design to make it more enjoyable to knit, and also to make it the perfect garment that I envision, and not just what the designer is telling me to do. One thing that I must say is about the yarn. Like, I really like Holst yarn, and I really like the finished result of that you have with Holst yarn, super soft. I really like the finished fabric. I think that when you wash it, it really, I don't know, it's like, it really flourishes. It pumps up, it fills the gaps, it becomes also a little bit, I don't know. I really enjoy this yarn when it's washed, but in my opinion, it's very hard to knit with Holst yarn super soft, because it's a very rustic and rough yarn. And I'm usually not very sensitive to wool, but this has caused me some problems. Like, when I knit on this sweater for like an hour or so, I immediately I start feeling a little bit of itchiness on my hands, and so I know I have to take like half an hour of rest or something, because my hands start to hurt a bit. So this yarn is not the most enjoyable to work with, but if you want to try it, I think it's very, like, it's not expensive. It's like, I don't want to say that it's cheap, but you could have a sweater, like, I think that if you are around size small or medium, you could have a sweater with like 4 balls or 5 balls of Holst yarn, super soft. And that would cost you maybe 20-25 euros, something like that. So I think it's a great yarn, and also I think that you should try to work with it before deciding, and I bet you will love the finished result. Of course, if you should know that you might be a little bit sensitive to this yarn, but now I'm used to it. Like, as you can see, oh yes, I've cast this on like I think 10 days ago, and this is like, I'm so fast. I'm constantly, in these days, I'm constantly thinking, I'm so fast. That's not because I'm faster than before, it's just because I have more time to knit. So yeah, I'm just so happy. I'm just enjoying this period of my life in which I have so much time for knitting, and I don't want it to finish. So yes, like, the rusticness, if I can say that, of the yarn did not prevent me from working on this sweater, because I know I love the finished result. I know that I need and that I will wear a lot this piece. So yeah, well, this was my last work in progress, and I don't have that many acquisition, or better, I have an acquisition, but I've talked about it in my previous video, the yarn shop tour of Steven and Penelope here in Amsterdam, so I want to address this here. I don't know why, but sometimes I feel like a little bit weird about acquisitions, because I think they give like not the right idea. It seems that I buy a lot, but I don't buy a lot of yarn, and if I buy yarn, I already have a project in mind. So I think that from now on, when I'll have acquisitions, I just make a video dedicated to acquisitions, because I will also explain why I bought some yarn, and yeah, yes, I think I will make videos dedicated specifically to acquisitions in the future. So yeah, now we are to the last part, the part about some updates and life updates. To those of you who are not interested to this part, thank you so much for staying with me till now. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate your support and you know, every like and comment and visualization or anything like that. I'm just very happy of having you here, so thank you so much for following this video. And to those of you who are not interested to the rest of the video, see you in the next one. Well, those of you who are interested and want to know a little bit more about what will happen in the future, like, I think that this will be sadly my last video for a while, because when you'll see this, I think I'll be traveling. Like, I'm going, when you'll see this, I'll probably be traveling, because at the beginning of next week I will go back home to Italy. I'm both happy and sad, of course. I'm happy of seeing my friends, seeing my family, but at the same time I really enjoyed the period that I've spent here. I've lived with my boyfriend. It was not the first time, but of course it's always nice to live with your boyfriend. So yeah, but I think that this will be my last video for a little while, because I know that when I'll go back, I'll just have too many things to do, and I want to just be able to enjoy the time I'll spend with my family, you know, with my grandparents. They're very old. I haven't seen them in 3 months, and I'm missing them a lot. So I just want to focus on that in the next month. At the same time, next month will be very hectic, I think, because I will have to travel a lot. Before going back to Italy, I will just take the train from Amsterdam, and then I'll go to Paris, and then from Paris I'll go to Milan, and then of course back home, because I live not far away from Milan. But then I will have to do some trips related to my thesis to some museums in Europe, so I know it will be a pretty hectic period. Also from a knitting point of view, because I have an upcoming collaboration that I can't wait to talk to you about. So yeah, I just wanted to give you a little bit of a heads up, saying if you don't hear from me here on YouTube in the next month, that is why. I just want to be very, you know, I just want to feel comfortable while I'm at home. I just want to feel comfortable being around my family. I just want to be comfortable and without the pressure of being present on social media when I'll be with them. Yeah, so this is why I won't probably post a lot on YouTube in the next month. But of course, if you want, you can stay updated on Instagram. As always, you'll find the link to my profile down below. And you know, it always makes me happy when I see one of my subscribers here on YouTube also following me on Instagram. So yes, I think that was all. I think I was clear explaining all I had to say, because it was only 3 weeks from the last podcast, but I had so many whips and finished objects that I fear I had like mixed everything. So if I was not clear, or if you would know a little bit more about some of my projects, or you have some curiosities, feel free to contact me in the comments, or also on Instagram on DMs, or also, I don't know, you can just check my Ravelry, as I was telling you. And I'm a bit sad of saying this, but well, we'll see each other again in the future, maybe in a month. But yeah, don't worry, I'll be back, because I'm really enjoying the YouTube experience. So bye bye guys, and happy knitting!